Will it make you feel a bit worse?
The threshold for participation in American culture is too high, and that threshold is driving. I took a picture of something that shocked me yesterday, but before I show it, I want to explain what I mean. Both people that are too young and too old to be driving are forced into a situation where they either give up vast amounts of their freedom and autonomy or put us at risk by driving themselves. This is also true of people with physical limitations or financial limitations as the cost of cars goes up. So here's the shocking situation. This is a 5-lane road where people drive way too fast, and I saw this young boy with his even younger brother about to cross mid-block. And I thought to myself, if they got hit by a car, who would we blame as a society? The parents? The boys? The driver of the car? Or some other third party? Let's start with the parents. These boys were actually coming from over here. They were in their neighborhood. Our first reaction is that those boys shouldn't be allowed to hang out or cross this road. I need to remind you that this is also an unsafe road and this is also an unsafe road. So what we're telling these parents is that because they can't afford a nicer neighborhood that precludes these sort of fast moving streets, that their kids don't deserve that sort of autonomy. What's ironic about the suburbs is that even though it was built and designed for the car, it's also built and designed to exclude people in their cars. That is to say, the roads take these wide, circuitous paths with no through streets so that people are encouraged to take arterials and not cut through. And this gets so absurd to the fact that in Orlando, these two neighbors share a fence, but they're a 20-minute drive from each other. But it's unfair that these older parts of town and poorer neighborhoods are forced to put these arterials right through their neighborhood. But then we might come back and say, well, it's the boys' fault. They're crossing mid-block. They should go to the next intersection. But in this situation, I would do exactly what they did and cross here. This is a blind curve coming downhill. Cars go way too fast. And I even have pictures of nearby buildings and infrastructure that repeatedly gets hit by cars around this area. Not to mention that intersections are particularly harrowing in America for pedestrians because there's right turn on red, which means a car which is turning right is looking left for traffic or straight ahead for people turning left to see if they can turn right. They're rarely looking for pedestrians. I would cross mid-block in this situation, and in Tennessee, that's not even illegal. What's more, they're trying to get to a library branch, community center, baseball field, basketball court. This is where kids belong. So it's not the kids' fault. Though rare, we might want to blame the driver. But in this situation, this road is 52 feet wide. What we know is that wide streets and wide lanes encourage speed. But more than that, we've offset telephone poles and signage to create what's called a clear zone. This is sort of highway and interstate infrastructure that allows for cars to quickly recover if they go off the road. But this increases the feeling and the width of the road, not to mention this parking lot and this green space right here adds to it, so drivers intuitively drive faster than the speed limit here. We do not drive the arbitrary numbers that are on signs, we drive the speed that roads were designed for. So who then could be blamed in this situation? I would make an argument for the city. It doesn't make sense to build these financially upside down patterns that don't allow for throughput, but it also doesn't make sense to prioritize the convenience of people who don't live in these neighborhoods to cut through them at the risk and safety of the people who are here. If this road were narrower, it would still keep the grid intact so that people could use the street as needed, which would probably force congestion, which would also slow down the speed of cars in this area. By doing so, we would give kids like this autonomy to go around their neighborhood, to interact with the general public, to access much needed facilities and increase social interaction and socialization, which will reduce crime, anxiety, and behavioral issues in kids in the years to come. But it'll also help people like this, who I just saw a block away, that can't otherwise get around safely. Now, there's a book I just read called Confessions of a Recovering Engineer that kind of goes through why we have them. And I know we like to blame big conspiracy theories, worldviews like capitalism, but the truth of the matter is there's a few people in your city who have influence they don't know they have, who are genuinely thinking they're protecting the public interest by maintaining the status quo that exists right now. And if you read this book, you'll be better able to articulate that. This would benefit society as a whole, because right now 43,000 people a year are dying because of cars. Poor or marginalized people do not have access to jobs because they don't have cars, or they're risking ours in their life to have a car, or they're paying upwards of 30% of their income to have a car. Kids lack the autonomy that kids in other generations had, and we're paying that price socially with an increased crime rate, depression rate, anxiety, and all sorts of other mental health issues.